Folks, hello and welcome to the Sunday Night AMA. I'm going to try to do these, I don't know, every 3 or 4 weeks. Some months it may be twice, some months it may be once. I didn't get it in during September. That was my own fault, so to speak. Uh, just oh, damn it. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I forgot to have my other screen open up because I'll be giving away memberships later on as we get a few more people into the room. And to do that, I gotta, yeah, AMA, American Music Awards, Don. There we go. Can't you tell? You want me singing? I don't think you want me singing. So, September was a busy month overall. But part of what September also did is I started taking a course on how to be a more effective YouTube creator and one on AI. So both of them seem to work fairly well together. And if you've noticed the thumbnails that I've been using for a lot of these videos, including tonight's, these have been generated by ChatGPT. I'm not saying that anybody should go out and subscribe to ChatGPT. Remember, there's a free version of it. But it's a great assistant tool for creativity. It does not replace creativity. And I think that people need to understand that. If you want it to be effective, you have to know your subject. You have to know what you're going to be asking it about because I don't think it lies, but it doesn't always know. And it wants you to be happy. So it'll act like it's an authority, and it's not. So, to case in point, when I was doing my OSR video as to the beginnings of the OSR, I said, "Hey, listen, tell me about the beginnings of the OSR," figuring I could use that instead of typing it all out. I'd have something to work from for an outline, and then I'm looking at it, and right away I'm like, "Okay, Osric, that's awesome. Labyrinth, Lord, that's great, but in that in that initial spot, Basic Fantasy RPG should be belonging." And I asked it, "What happened to Basic Fantasy RPG?" And it's like, "Oh, good catch. I forgot." So again, ChatGPT is a great tool if you know your subject. Now, I am obviously not an artist, but I can generate thumbnails for this channel that are fairly evocative and have a familiar theme because I've been using ChatGPT over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's beginning to learn me, my style, the videos that I produce. Because if I am producing a video that has history, data, timeline, I can't just wing it, right? So on the side of my screen, so it's on my right using Restream, but that means that my eyes on your screen are turning left. But that's where I will have my outline. I don't do scripts. I don't feel they are organic. I don't feel they are natural. They don't feel like me. So I don't do scripts, but I will do up an outline so I can make sure I hit the points that I need to hit and I don't screw up my facts. Because I'm good at rambling. I'm good at doing these live streams. But when it comes to keeping myself focused on a topic and keeping it informative, I need an outline. And I think that for me, that's been a great assistance in doing my current videos. Now, I have been asked questions about, and listen, I am a small fish in a small pond. Okay. But I think some of the best advice I've heard, and I've been doing a lot of research, by the way, folks. It's about half the videos, maybe not half, but a third of the videos I watch on YouTube, and I watch I don't watch commercial TV for the most part anymore. Haven't watched a football game yet this season. My God, that's like sacrilege for me. But I watch a lot of videos about how to improve your YouTube channel. And everybody has different thoughts. But one of the best, if you're starting a new YouTube channel, and I even, as an aside, I am in a YouTube program run by Google for creators, and they have seminars/trainings. And some of the best advice that I've heard is that start with a narrow focus. Start with something that's going to be your expertise. It's kind of an opposite of when I started my blog. When I started my blog, it was cover a lot because you get people in from all different. So I was covering independent RPGs and OSR and old school D&D and all that stuff. But they are started with a focus, a narrow bandwidth. So even if you're going to be doing OSR, right? Maybe start with a system that you like. My blog, my videos are all about OSE, or my videos are all about dungeon design. And then you can branch out. Like I've already established myself as general OSR and gaming news. Uh, but I wouldn't advise anybody starting a new channel to be that broad, because if you want to catch the algorithm, and interesting fact, the algorithm cares less about your subscribers than it used to. It cares about your video getting put out there. It's like you put up a video, they do a test with 100 channels or 100 viewers. And those 100 viewers, their click-through rate and their viewing duration. So if somebody clicks your video and then tunes out after 5 seconds, not good. But if you have a decent click-through rate, I don't know, 6-7%, and a decent view duration, then you go on to the next cycle. And then now they share your video out to 500 people. Okay. And then you do good on that point, and maybe they send you out to 1,500 people. And that's how a video, quote, blows up. What you don't want to do, and I've seen this on multiple videos, is do something like share it out to your friends and family that doesn't or have no interest in your video, so they subscribe, but they aren't going to watch. It screws up the algorithm. So let me catch up on some of these comments. Don agreed, make your focus when you start more narrow. Yes, you can always expand it. Okay, but do something that you're an expert on. I mean, when I retired, I wanted to do a blog, a beer blog, and I enjoy beer, and I enjoyed it a lot more back then. But I certainly wasn't going to be a beer snob or connoisseur, and that blog just really went nowhere. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. Do something that you're passionate about. Rachel's talking about doing a channel for perfumes. It's something that she has a big interest in. So if you're interested in it, if you enjoy it, it'll show in your videos. It'll show in what you do. Don, more subject or genre pointed. Yes, and like I was actually telling Don earlier today, if you're going to be doing a video channel, your videos should be problem solving. What do I mean by that? If I'm going to do a video on the best OSR games, what am I doing that? Well, I'm doing that so I can show people what games they should be looking at, what games are going to maybe be up their alley. I'm trying to give them options. Okay, entertainment videos do fine, but we're not Mr. Beast. That's not going to be something that anybody that I know is going to be competing with. We're not going to be doing, gaming stupid as we're jumping out of a window. And I just stick with what you know. Taylor, question about Bad Mike. What is his association with Frog God Games? All right, so Bad Mike was a partner. When I say partner, he had a very small bit of Frog God. I don't know what his percentage was. There were larger partners. Skeeter Green was a partner at one point. He left years ago. Matt Finch was a partner. He left. That's why Swords of Wizardry is being printed and published by Mythmere Games. Um, Zach Glazer was a partner. I'm not sure which partners are left. I believe that Bad Mike is no longer a partner at Frog God. He is, however, one of the main people behind North Texas RPG Con. If uh, if you are a fan of the 18, he is basically the face of North Texas. He's the one that will go out there on social media. So that's what Mike is now. You know, what is Frog God doing? And I still have my Frog God shirts. I love them, and I love going to like doctor's appointments and having people ask me questions like, "What's Frog God?" And it's like, "Oh, it's a company that I used to represent at conventions," which is what I did. You know, I worked the table and I ran games, but the gaming convention market changed after COVID. Right, we shut down for a year, and when things came back up, they came up slowly, and a lot of companies did a lot of reevaluation as to what was profitable. And I can believe in the case of Frog God Games, they decided that it was just not profitable to have tables and shipping games. Right, you got to get the games there. So for years, uh, Bad Mike and Zach used to drive up from the Dallas Fort Worth area to Madison, Wisconsin, to like Geneva, Wisconsin, with a very large SUV full of books to sell. You know, you're when you got to do a lot of that, your margins start to change. So we've gone to an industry that is largely great old ones, welcome, that is largely print on demand. And print on demand has some benefits. Um, One of the big benefits is that it doesn't require Death Angel doesn't require you to keep physical inventory, right? You're not going to have an overprint run. It's something that has certainly harmed companies in the past because stock that isn't selling is stock that you're paying to warehouse. So, but the quality of the print it's gotten better. By the way, my nose is very itchy. It's allergy season here in New York. The print runs have gotten better, but they're not as good as getting something printed by. I'll just say it, like Don Samora with the Tower Games. You know, Don has a printing facility. You're going to get a different quality than something that's print on demand, and but you're not going to get it as quickly, right? And Don, when he has to print a certain number to make it profitable. So the dynamics of the industry change, and I've watched people go from a business that's print on demand to a business that is dealing with a physical publisher, and they can't wrap their heads around the difference of how that all works. Me myself, uh, I don't publish much. Southern Wizardry Light, Continual Light was going to be re-released, and then the OGL scandal hit, and I'm still sitting on some really good artwork. You see that? Sorry, how do I do this? Right here. That cup there has got the James Shields artwork from. I was going to be on the new Continual Light rules. I'll find a use for that. Don't worry about it. I take care of that. So let me. We're about 15 minutes in. Let me. I got to open up my side page and let me give away some memberships. I'm going to send out 5 now to viewers that aren't members. Uh, this will give you a 1 month membership. So Jonathan Miller, Kevin Smith, C. Scott, Sci-Fi Fantasy Simulations, and Gustavo Campos. You've got 1 month memberships to the Tavern. Now, if I had half a brain, I would have set this up properly. But if you go to the post sections of this channel, so you go to this channel's like homepage, just and you go and you see the posts, you will see posts that are there that are linking files for things like free tables. I have free tables for, you don't have to subscribe. All right. You're going to go to those posts. There's a Dropbox link and there's a folder for free tables. I'm doing magic items. So I have miscellaneous magic items, which, by the way, I play tested some of those at ShireCon last week. And I was very happily surprised at how some of my players use some minor miscellaneous magic items. These aren't powerful things, but in the right hands, in OSR players' hands, when you think out of the box, they're surprisingly useful. So that's for everybody. But if you're a member, there's an additional folder. That additional folder has additional material that's not being given out to everybody. So either tonight or tomorrow afternoon, hopefully tonight, I'll have some more material up. I had a survey going on. It was what magic items did you want me to deal with next? And magic rings took a strong lead on that. And so I started working on that before the survey was even completed last night. So I should hopefully have some of that stuff up later on today. So use your free membership. And at the end of the month, if you want to re-up it, it's as low as $1.99. Feel free. But hopefully you feel like for your free membership, you're going to get a decent amount of material for your OSR gaming. And we'll work with 5e. Certainly. Well, it's just that these rings, could they work with games like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay or Basic Fantasy? But you'll probably have to tweak them a bit. But if you're gaming in the OSR, it should be pretty much drop and play. I like to have rewards for my players, but I don't like to have everything be game changing. And that's why I like the minor magic items. I'm going to try to also work on more powerful items, but they will have a slight detriment to balance out some of the stuff. So, as an aside, one of my first published works was for a now defunct game company, but I don't even know. I don't even think it's still up on drive-thru. I don't even know if I have a file of it. But I did miscellaneous magic items and things that I had basically a teddy bear that you pop the head off and then it refilled with beer on a daily basis. It was just fun stuff. I had a cat's eye marble that you could roll down a hallway and use it to view what's there. Oh man, nose really itchy. View what's there, but from the point of view of the ground, so your perspective is a little off. Just things that make the players think. I like to have my players thinking, and that's because I'm an improv style GM, and the more my players think, the more they make me think, and the balance works out pretty well. So, by the way, if you've got your free membership, you can also ask questions. So feel free to drop a question into the chat. When I do these AMAs, they're open to everybody. Members only are the ones that can ask the questions or comment, and there's a reason for that. And the reason is I want to give something a lot on a live stream that is beneficial to our members. Now, YouTube, again, Death Angel, yeah, American Music Awards. Jason slash Sci-Fi Me didn't ask mom anything. He brought his mother on a stream, let folks ask all kinds of embarrassing to him questions. Yeah, I could do that with my mother, but she's not poking us at the moment. But we'll see. We'll see. So, a feature that YouTube is currently working on that I think is going to be excellent for live streams is that you'll be able to do a seamless backstage. And what do I mean by that? You can have your live stream and then say, all right, well, that's the end of our 90-minute live stream. Now we're going to go backstage. It's members only. And it could get raucous or whatever. And then the stream ends for everybody but the members. The members only. It's a little elite perk that you're going to be getting as a member. They're hoping to roll that out by the end of the year. I think that's going to be interesting. It would certainly make me want to subscribe to a few other channels. I know one perk they were talking about, but I haven't heard anything solid, is that members would get ad-free viewing. That doesn't make a difference to me. I do YouTube Premium because I I do most of my viewing. Come on, focus. I do. Oh, it doesn't want to focus. I don't think that's my eyes there. No, it's not me. Um, but the idea is that there we go. The idea is that like I do most of my TV, most of my TV watching is YouTube. I really don't know why I subscribe to like Netflix and stuff like that because I don't really watch much of it. I mostly watch uh, YouTube and I do history, some politics, both sides because I need to know what's going on, current events, and again, and some cooking stuff, low carb cooking stuff, and a lot of instructional stuff on YouTube as a creation. So I know I've been asked in the past. Yeah, Death Angel. I was going to ask when it would roll out. Wonder how it would work for replays. I don't know. And I'm again. This is stuff that if you look, if there is a channel. Let me see if I can link it. Hold on. No, okay, that's not it. YouTube creator. Okay, there's a channel. I'm going to link it here in the chat. If you are a YouTube creator, this is something that you should check out every once in a while. It's by YouTube and it's the YouTube creators community essentially, and it tells you what's in the works. And so one thing that's going to be in the works, it's releasing. I know I have the feature, the lawyer has the feature, and that's collaborators. So I have a video in the hopper, ready to go, that Joe is going to do and cover from his perspective. Okay, so just so you know, the video in question is hold on from 5E to the OSR. We're discovering real AD&D adventure, and Joe is going to cover it. I don't know what he's going to call his video, but he's going to cover it from his perspective. And let's see, do I have trying to see if I have the thumbnail. Yeah, I do. All right, that's the thumbnail. This is releasing either later on tonight or tomorrow. I think it's a very good video. I enjoyed making it. Um, I know Jim Kitchen makes fun of me that I'm not fast enough with this stuff, but he doesn't until you play with the stuff in the background. So lighten the path from 5E to the OSR. Now I'm gonna also say this wasn't this is generated via ChatGPT, not the text. The text I use Canva for, and I used Canva for it because I couldn't get the text that ChatGPT was creating to not slide off the edge of the screen by half a letter. So God help me. But the original image was much more earthy in tone, and if you want people to stop the scroll, you got to get something that's a bit more striking. So I needed more contrast, and I just asked ChatGPT to give me something with more contrast. Well, that should be up hopefully tonight. I'm looking forward to it. If not, tomorrow night. What's my opinion on alternative YouTube alternatives such as Vimeo and Twitch? All right, so I YouTube. All right, Rumble is the only one that I actually share my live streams to, and it's I get better traction there than I do on Instagram, and I get no traction on TikTok. So I mean, may that be as it will. Twitch, I think works best if you are playing Twitch games, right? Like you're playing computer games, you're playing on your Xbox, you know, that seems to be good. However, I have stopped streaming to Twitch. I used to stream to Twitch, and I would get one or two viewers on a live stream from Twitch, but I would often get spam. It was very easy for people to spam from that, and it was a pain in the ass to go into Twitch and give them a boot. So I wasn't worth it. Vimeo, you know, again, I think Rumble would be a better solution. I don't know if Twitch is going to be on its way out. I just think that Twitch is not really for tabletop RPG. Not really for our community. And I think it's for other communities. And I think again, it's called Twitch because you're twitching, right? You're playing active video games. I think that's the expectation on that platform. Um, Rumble, it has a reputation for uh, free speech. And by the way, there is no such thing as a free speech platform. Even free speech platforms are going to censor you if you're extreme enough or if you say the wrong thing. The only thing that you have free speech from is government interference. And even that has its reasons. So let's not go down that whole. I don't love to go down that First Amendment. I got my First Amendment rights. Even I have whatever rights I want. But if I don't know, I decide to block your comments on YouTube. We had a troll that my God, was it 2 years ago now? That was like, oh my God, you're this is I'm going to sue you for my First Amendment rights. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Lord Kafumba, he's a Twitch partner. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions, Death Angel. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions. It's just that for the most part, and I'm sure Lord Kasumba had a very large social media presence where he was able to direct people to Twitch. If you're going to build on a platform, yeah, my idea is you're going to have to focus on one. Right? So back in the day, my social media platform was Google Plus, G Plus. Why? Because as gamers, it was a great way to meet people and have conversations and add people to your circle add somebody's circles to your circles. I had nearly 10,000 people that were following me there. My blog was showing it. Their downfall started when they tried to integrate Google Plus into Blogger, and then that was going to keep anybody who wasn't on Google Plus from commenting. I experimented for a day and then rolled it back. But people like Zach Smith kept that feature for the end because it allowed them to effectively control the conversation on the blog. So, oh, I didn't know you can't watch Twitch on your TV. Yeah, that to me would be again. I do my YouTube doing that. There's two ways. I got my TV set is actually to my left, big screen TV, and if I'm watching stuff with rates, that's what we're watching. But if I'm working on research for a video or whatever, I will often have a video playing in the background as I'm multitasking. I don't have it on the big TV because even if Rachel's in this room, at that point she's probably got her own headphones on, she's watching something on her phone or her iPad. And I like to get knowledge. And there are times when I gotta rewind stuff because my mind takes a little while to absorb what I'm listening to. And I'm like, wait a second, that was useful. Death Angels. I think virtual Greyhawk Con this weekend would have had more viewers if everything was live on YouTube. I am sure you are right. But people get. Listen, I'm not saying there's a right platform or there's a wrong platform. Okay. I have a presence on Rumble because the event, right, the band does YouTube. I have another way that people can watch me and watch my videos. Rumble isn't going to make me any money. I mean, YouTube isn't really going to make me any money. 150, 175 a month, which sounds great until you realize, all right, so I'm paying for a program that generates my shorts and long form content. Okay, that's $15 a month. I'm paying for Restream. I think that's $18 a month. I don't know, 33. GPT and Grok for both of those. You need it to generate thumbnails and help with research and organize your notes and just makes the whole process easier. And before you know it, you're looking at and of course Canva to make the thumbnails, the funnelized thumbnails. You're probably looking at something like this hobby of mine probably cost me between 80 and $100 a month. So yeah, I got a little bit extra at the end. But then again, I also often, if there's a GoFundMe where people I do often do matches. So, this money allows me to be more giving to the community. Bruce, thank you. Much appreciated. Bruce just became a member. Uh, I've known Bruce for, I don't know how long at this time. I feel like it's close to a decade, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Death Angel, Lord Gasumba has to hold his live stuff, so it's exclusive on Twitch, which discourages me from watching his stuff. Uh, Bruce, the web platform doesn't have to TOS that gets uppy about names. Looks disparagingly at Discord. Discord keeps marking towards garbage. YouTube isn't my platform. Rumble is. I like Rumble. I would love to see it become a viable, not let's say competitor, but something. Oh, Ken. Oh, who? Somebody's gifting. Bruce, thank you. So Ryan, CRXR, Bob Vecna, Bob Gnarly's Magic Fan, And of course, Chen, you've been gifted membership by Bruce, and I really do appreciate that, Bruce. So again, I mentioned this earlier. Go to the post section of this channel at Tenkars Tavern. You will see that there is content free for everybody. Going to be read the post. There'll be a link to a folder that's free for just subscribers and non-subscribers. Free content, free charts, free tables, and then there's more stuff for subscribers. And if you've got a gift subscription, please use it. Grab stuff. I'm gonna have stuff coming up either later tonight or tomorrow. I had done a survey and I was happy. The survey got like 53, 55 votes, which is pretty active. I'm looking forward to the days when we get 100 votes in the survey. But I like to know what content people are looking for. And sometimes the best way to do that is to ask. So this is the time for you, by the way, folks, to ask. This is your time. Um, I can certainly blabber as much as you guys want, but I think it's time for you to ask some questions. But again, much much thanks there, Bruce. Now, I have been asked in the past, like, how did I get into gaming? And my friend Kenny, whose career path went from law degree to New York City teacher to immigration attorney to medicine to doctor. By the way, doctor in his 50s, so God bless him. Kenny introduced me to AD&D. He only had the DMG. He ran his food adventure. My fighter Cyrus, killed a few skeletons and goblins, and I there was no looking back. I was done. That was Christmas break, 79, 80, and here I am. Now, how did I come back to gaming? Because I left gaming in '97. March of '97, I graduated the police academy and went from having weekends off to having Wednesday, Thursday off with 4 shows. Oh, sorry, 6 shows. Working 2 o'clock in the morning. You weren't going to be doing much. So, T. Taylor, I know you do a lot of research before you report on news. Have you ever had a time when you discovered that what you had reported was entirely wrong? How did you correct that wrong? Um, I haven't had a problem where something that I was reporting on was wrong. The information I had was correct at the time, but I've had news events that literally have switch has been flipped, or there's been stuff that I've been reporting on that I stepped on toes. Okay, when the OGL scandal was coming and hit, I was Johnny on the spot on that one. Really was glad and happy with my coverage. I had some good sources, which always helps. Um, my sources were in some of the companies that were involved in the process. But when you get a direct communication from Eric Mona, you're like, but I was getting direct. I was hearing rumors that there was a big push to get basically a morality clause put into the old life. My sources were good. My sources were accurate. There was this push. When Eric reached out to me and told me essentially there was no way that was going to happen, he wasn't going to let it happen, and he was quite nervous that my bringing up that possibility would jeopardize. So I corrected my cover to say, "Hey, these are rumors that I heard," but a owner reached out to me and assured me that this wasn't gonna happen. So these are things that you gotta do. Now, I don't think I've really covered a news story that I've totally botched, but back in my blog days, I was covering a release of a horrible product. I think people remember this, the Tournament of, and it was getting torched by the community, and I made an off-color joke on my blog about the activity, and I got an email from somebody who was a reader of the blog, and they explained to me why what I said was offensive, and I followed it up the next day by throwing myself on my sword and apologizing. And listen, I don't remove content, especially when I screw up, because that's content that people should know about. But I put a disclaimer on it and explained that what I said was wrong. But I'm not going to cover up my fuck up. There is one video, one live stream that was made private, and that was because one of my co-hosts talked about a family member and a procedure that was taken, and it was an invasion of privacy, and that I removed from the rotation. Whoa, I mean, too far back in my chair, when I had Tenkars, it's up. No, there are stories that I sat on because I couldn't verify. Like, your source is valid, but you want to generally have two sources. And I had two sources, but my second source was relying on my first source. I found out. And I found out. I don't want to be I don't need to be the one that breaks the news. I need to be the one that. Great old ones. Interesting. I had friend Jerry I was playing other games with. Kevin invited us to an OD&D game. It's like that, like crack in the '80s, and I'm done. I was done. Oh, sorry, I missed your question, but I'll get to that in a second. So, I got it. Sometimes making an awkward joke is a reflex. It doesn't make it right. Some grace should be given on both ends of a situation like that. It was. I mean, the person didn't call me out in public. They explained their situation in private, and my joke brought up their own personal history, and yeah, no, I was out of space. Um, I think to my earlier question about other hobbies at Tenkars Tavern. Any nerdy? All right, so I used to. It seemed like my other hobbies. I used to collect and clean Roman coins, ancient Roman coins, and I would buy the uncleaned coins. I actually got I forget what they call it, but it was a copper. It was a silver gold mishmash of what they call the metal. I've gotten some decent ones, but that was I don't know, well over 10, maybe 15 years ago when I was doing that stuff. I couldn't even tell you what I have the things now. That was a hobby. I do gardening. That is certainly a hobby. I have the indoor garden and the outdoor garden. But and the YouTubing is kind of like a nerdy hobby, right? It's adjacent to my RPG hobby, but it allows me to create. So it's a combination, it's an intermingling of the two. So I think that kind of holds well. Yes, there's always a Kevin. Jefferson Starship Trooper, welcome. Uh, yes, please. Okay, thank you. I will take. I'll take care of that. So But yeah, no, I do have other hobbies, but they're not really that. I mean, I listen. I used to enjoy watching football, but I'm a Jets fan. Jets are 0-5. As a backup, I'm a Giants fan. The Giants are 1 win, 4 losses. So the New York teams are running at 10%. It's not even a good baseball average. Good baseball average is 3 and 10. Um, Jefferson Starship Trooper. I used to clean it and preliminarily assemble tennis football for the local university. Well, there you go. That's a hell of a job. I mean, I enjoyed flipping the coins, and yeah, you have to let them soak for a while, and then I would have loved to use a rock tumbler to get some of the really crud off, but that wasn't going to happen. But I also, took dental tools and chant to get some of the layers of crud off. Some of the coins were in surprisingly decent shape for their age, going back about 2,000 years. But yeah, no, that I think what else? I mean, I surround myself again with houseplants. I mean, I always wanted to be uh, have buns. I find that I go on a good trip and then like back in my bonds I feel is there. But this one's been, pretty sturdy, doing pretty well. As a younger man, and even as a teen, I used to. I'm big on cactus plants. Still have a bunch, but I used to grow them from seed. Which, if you haven't tried it's rough. And that's cactus plants from seed is not for not for the weak. But I like see my hobbies revolve around creating and being social. I don't know. I mean, my first real job, my first on the books job was at 19. I got hired to work at Ford's department store in Flushing, New York, and I got hired to work in the electronics department as a salesman, not just working the cashier. I was working in electronics, and what that meant was I had to deal with people, I had to interact with people. I'm naturally shy. And the manager that hired me, Shia, she was like, she had two of us out of that pool of like 30 Christmas temps. She's like, you work out. She goes, we're keeping you. And she told me, she goes, you're shy, but you're going to get over that. You're going to get past that. I went, "No." And, that was one of the best experiences. A great experience to learn how to deal with people. But when I became a cop 8 years later, I knew how to deal with people, how to customers, how to schmooze people, how to calm situations down, how to get voluntary compliance, all these things. Great old ones, welcome. All these things that you learn if you're doing actual retail. And it's great training for being a cop. What would James? Oh my God, James! What would have been your dream job if you had become a cop? When I was a kid, I wanted to be a train engineer. We have the Long Island Railroad. It goes by about a block from my house, and I would watch those trains go by. And we have a big bridge. Okay, Niece Shannon used to go to when she was younger. And they would see you, and they would whistle the whistle, and I wanted to be a train engineer. And that didn't happen. It's okay. And as I was older, I liked retail. Then I realized there's no money in retail at all, and no pension. Not that there's a lot of money in becoming a cop, but you got to get pension. Uh, James, what's your favorite RPG that everybody else loves? You know, that's a hard one because I'm like looking at my shelves and I'm trying to think of games that I have that people loathe. I mean, the game that people don't really play is basic fantasy RPG, and I think that that's a great core system. It's very flexible. When you think in the right hands, you can do a lot with it. It doesn't have to be RuneQuest, it doesn't have to be Call of Cthulhu. Um, an underused system that I'm going to try to get some use out of is the Open D6. I think that I don't know if people knows it, but I mean I have this huge and the Ghostbusters RPG, and then of course we all know it from Star Wars D6, which was awesome. My friends didn't like the game system, but I thought it was great. It was not overly complicated. You had to cover a lot of stuff, and cover a lot of ground. So I have plans for that. Now, those plans might include some things that myself and a certain gaming lawyer, not Matt Finch, have talked about, who's a fan of 1970s cop movies. By the way, I've seen the Seven Up, overlooked movie from that era, the Seven Up. Captain Starship. I think Eric is secretly in Man in Black. No, no. Again, I learned some good. Even becoming a cop, there were days, what jobs I not know what to do, and if I didn't know what to do, I took a step up myself. And said, if I was role playing a cop, yeah, and I was right almost all the time. You get playing a one shot with five other players and a GM. Who's at the table? Anyone in history, living or dead, and what's being run. Well, if it's going to be a game that I enjoy, has historical reference meaning to me, it's going to be AD&D one. And that's what I came in on. That's my bread and butter. That's my one true love, my first love. Might not be the game that I married, but it's the one that opened my eyes. It would have to be AD&D. And who would be at that table? You know, I'll be honest with you, it's going to be the people that I enjoy gaming with and spending time with. So, James, you would be one of them. Laura, Joe Greg Christopher. Hmm. That fifth spot gets really wacky because it's like I could have somebody like Skeeter who's going to be staying at the table. I could be somebody like Rob Conley who's going to be very meticulous. Uh, I don't know, but think I think I'd want Matt Finn's running the game. Unless it was something like DCC. If somehow we changed this to DCC. Doug Kovac, and just leave it as it is. You don't need any more details. Um, I'm not a Johnny Cash impersonator. Yeah, see, I don't. The older gamers, the way I played D&D back in the day is not the way they. We didn't have a caller. I played one session with a caller. We got invited to a older players group, like 12 people sitting at the table. I got to do nothing for 3 hours. My friends had nothing for 3 hours because it was like seventh and eighth level players, a bunch of noobs, first level, and you just hung up back and milked off. Not, not. So I don't know if I'd want to play necessarily with an old school group of old school people playing in the old school manner. Even Gary changed the way he ran games as he got older. So evolve and change. I don't run things like I ran them back in the day. I mean, I have fond memories of my early days of gaming, but I think the OSR is a great way to look back at the past, but with some really interesting stuff, let's just say. Jefferson Starship, Don Samora mentions his Haunted Ruins module. It's placed in the open world setting between the ports of Meridian and Zarakmore in the city of Darkholm. Can anyone tell me what setting? I don't know, but I will surely get up to date on that as time goes on. I keep threatening, Death Angels, I keep threatening to run a tablet game in a Huntsville when I'm out there for a Hamfest at Great Wall one time. The perfectly named one to run that was published by Gaxland called Ham Over Fest. Oh, there you go. Favorite retro clone. Favorite OSR game that's not a. All right, so here let's talk about favorite clones. Depends on what I need it for. Okay, and that's really it's if I'm going to be running something like at a convention, it's my own choice which real life. Bam! I don't need to read the rules, reference anything. I know I'm good. Game runs fast. If I was going to run a session of old school gaming with a campaign, I probably grab the OC rules. Maybe Dolman would when it finally shows up at my house. It was on the first round of shipping. Um, hold on. Let's see. But I would probably snag on a basic fantasy role playing for the free source material. And price no option, Dragon's Den. But and by the way, when I run games, I do consider do my players have the rules? Am I going to require my players to buy the rules? Dragon Slayer, I think, is an awesome BX money kind of hack. I love the presentation, I love the art, love the rules, but I wouldn't require my players to grab it, so I'd probably stick with OC. Or one of the older printings of Swords and Wizardry. By the way, I had the Swords and Wizardry wood grain box Kickstarter, which I donated to StriderCon. Because the moment I got it, I realized I couldn't read it. Oh, this old eye. And non OSR game. I really want to run some open diesel. I really do. I want to wrap my head around that. But my I got two personal loves from back in the day, and one is Warhammer Fantasy Role Play 1A, which was an amazing campaign, and Quest Second Edition with Pavis and Big Rebel because that showed me what a sandbox was. And I ran a summer of sandbox. Oh my God, that was fun. So, folks, we could squeeze out another 15 minutes if you all want. We got 24 people in the room right now. Holy crap! And I know they're all coming from YouTube. They're not coming. I only put this up on YouTube. So thank you very much. I got a big quick reminder if anybody who just dropped in. If you go to this channel's post section, yes, you can do post on YouTube. I know it's counterintuitive. I have free material for everybody. They are tables, mundane magic items or minor magic items, and I think it was some magic shields. And if you are a subscriber, somebody that subscribed tonight or was gifted with subscriptions, there's a section there too. Read the post. You're going to see for the members. If you're a member, go to that folder, snag all that stuff. There should be more stuff either tonight or tomorrow. I was hoping to give up tonight, but we shall see. Tomorrow, by the way, my next 2 days are like stacking stuff. The reason why I did the AMA tonight, I was originally gonna do it, tomorrow night. I was thinking about, and I realized tomorrow, Rach has a dental appointment and a doctor's appointment in Manhattan, so I'm gonna be exhausted. And then Tuesday, I have 2 doctor's appointments. So, James, you're out of appropriate questions. Oh my god, that is I can't believe it's not good. No, so, yeah, let's see, what other information do people wanna know about me? I know I've been accused of being the the cop of the OSR. I'm really not the cop of the OSR. I am certainly somebody who's investigated a lot of Kickstarters with long truth and abusive and stuff like that. And part of my background is in law enforcement, is that I spent my last few years as a supervisor in internal affairs. So, best advice I got from a lieutenant years ago before I got to IA was if you're ever in IA, because you don't look for guilt, you don't look for innocence, you look for the truth. And if you find the truth, now you're doing the right job. You just look for the truth. James, I know you too well. I've got plenty of inappropriate questions. Just James. Okay, should, you know, one of my favorite James stories, by the way, is one North Texas, which may be inappropriate before 9 o'clock. Oh, it's after 9. No, no. If you watch Frank Metzler's get totally flustered, I think that just you can trust a Frank. Yeah, yeah, A plus in that, A plus. As an aside, uh, email for me, if you're the mind, Destiny Angel, I don't even use token on Roll20. Much to some of the chagrin of some of my players, but I just use pointers. Um, I'm trying to find my email because there's gonna be questions that come up, I'm sure. Da-da. Wow, I never actually put my email in as but I'm gonna put my email up on the screen. If you have questions about pretty much anything, but especially about, running a YouTube channel, if you have questions about something right or wrong, basic advice is thumbnail that catches the eye, uh, evocative, accurate description, um, don't lie to people. Um, there's the email, by the way. Don't don't take forever to start your video. And I would personally say for your own personal videos, don't run introductory music or video. Get right into it. You don't want people clicking away. Now, John Monk, welcome. The Frank story. Yes, you want to tell a Frank story? I can tell a Frank story. So, stop me, James, if you want me to tell a Frank story, but I'm going to start it and I'll stop you. The Frank story, the Frank Metzler story. I am talking to the one only Mr. Top Secret, Merle Rasmussen. Merle and I are in some deep conversation. I couldn't tell you about what. And Frank is patiently waiting to pitch his Kickstarter. This is going back a number of years. Pilot Kickstarter. He needed to pitch it to me. He needed to sell me on the idea. And he's patiently waiting to get. There you go. He's patiently paying attention when James did something striking, eye-opening. and I'll leave it at that. Death Angel was introduced to tabletop in 1985. I've never played a game with. I owned minis. My first mini set was the Grenadier. I call them the mud minis because they were horrible quality. The Wilderness Adventurers, where you got the halfling with a crossbow and a tree stump. It's just a blob. I mean, this kind of crap is not as high quality as the money I spent on it. Too. Through speed factors and casting times in my system, position matters. D100 system supremacy. I just, for me, in my game. So usually, if I'm a player and we're using tokens, and excuse me if I blow my nose, if we're using tokens, I'm the one lagging behind, like, Eric, oh shit, yeah. Right, my token. Honestly, I'm playing up here. I'm not playing here, moving crap around. Yeah, James, no, folks will wonder. Folks, you can always ask at a convention. I'll tell you. Death Angels, I see Jerry Lord Cassandra and all his training. I can't imagine what it's going to use them. So, for a while, no, a couple of years, and a couple of cons, uh, Frog God was had the Mouth of Doom, which is a level from Rappadathic, and it was 3 you could get the files from, uh, Tom Tullis, and, I would run with these. Here's the problem, having that many whatever, there's no secrets, right? You gotta run games differently when everybody can see all the time. When they see the whole dungeon level at once and they start planning out, well, that's where we wanna go because that looks like. Well, I would generally just throw away the script. I would literally run around an attic without referring to anything in the adventure itself, because why? It's all about pacing, and my pacing will get screwed up if I refer to pages. I gotta worry about, am I got the right stuff right? Well, no, I was winging it. Same thing with, Chico Manor. That was printed out on, what was it, the, big ass shower curtain? I took inspiration from the original Chico Manor, but again, players are moving on a map that they can see everything. No, I I need to keep the pace going. A lot of people overthink when they can see. It's different for, right? I mean, Warhammer 40K or, you're playing the battle game, not the RPG. You're playing Warhammer Fantasy Battle World. Yeah. It's great, it's awesome, that's what you want. But when you're role playing, I see it as, distraction, but that's my mileage. Now your mileage can certainly vary, that's fine. Nothing bad about that. It's the way things are, and some people just don't process theater of the mind the same way. It doesn't work for them. A metal G100. Yeah, I've got some metal, dice, and I no longer fly with them because when you fly, I'll fly in the conventions 3 times a year. You gotta fly as light as you can. I was also flying with a 16-inch laptop, so which makes sense when you figure it was doubling as your desktop, but when you have your own desktop, I wanted to do that one to Rob, and I'm fine with that. 13-inch MacBook. Yeah, my back thanks me. I think everyone in the end probably thanks. Yeah, listen, all the Warhammer games, Death Angel, are rich man's tabletop games. So mine, and mine, and that's fine. Okay with it. But all right, folks, I think I'm going to pull the plug on this one. I'm going to put up a poll, by the way, about AMAs. Should I do them should I do them twice a month? Should I do them once a month? I mean, I missed it in September, and that's all my fault. But I was guesting on what was it, Joe Block's uh, ADD light release special, and I was going to have the inappropriate characters rerolled, which is on a permanent hiatus. That would have been the last Sunday of September. Uh, what can I tell you? Folks, thank you so much. Thank you to all the new members. It's really appreciated. This is why I do things to interact with the community and giving stuff back to you all. So thank you for the support. And I will, if Joe doesn't have his video up, remember we're collaborating on a video. I'll put one. I'm proud of it, personally. I'm very proud of it.